Hello, you absolute legends. Welcome back to the channel. John here on what is a relatively good day here in Lincolnshire, but is it about to get worse? It's MOT day for the Rover 75, and it's the first MOT since my possession. I obviously bought it back in December 2023, and since then it's not really gone very far. It's been in Dad's garage having a whole host of repairs done to it. If you haven't seen those videos on the channel, I suggest you check them out first. We've had a new head gasket, we've replaced most of the cooling system, and we've done some metal fabrication. This entire sill has been replaced. In this video then, I'm going to take it to the MOT centre. We're going to Kings of Stickney, about 6 miles down the road. We're going to go see Neil there. He's going to show us underneath the car. He's going to show us the MOT process. And fingers crossed, we've got a whole year's worth of MOT goodness after we come home. Will we make it to Pride of Longbridge? Hopefully. Oh, right. Well, I'm going to get in. I've actually not been in the car for, oh, crikey, maybe 3 weeks now since the Rustival Festival. I'm absolutely filthy because I've been cutting the front lawn this morning. Right, so hopefully the car starts up for a start. Let's turn the radio off and let's turn that off. Okay, car started, good news. What I'm going to do is enable the engine readout, so the engine coolant readout, and if you haven't seen how to do that, the video is on the channel. So the current engine temperature, 18 degrees. It's a relatively cold day. I'm not going to set off straight away. I've got 15 minutes until it is the MOT test. And the test centre, as I say, is about 6 or 7 miles away. There's a little bit of noise from one of the exhaust baffles that we need to address, and I have checked out before this MOT the tyre pressures. Now, Dad hasn't had a chance to give the car a pre-MOT check over, which is something I quite like to do, but sadly, due to time, etc., we've not been able to do that this week. But like I said in the introduction, I don't envisage there being any major issues with the car. 27 degrees the engine is reading at. If you remember in the video of the Rustival roundup, Dad and I suggested that actually the car's running a bit cold, and that could be due to the hole that Dad has drilled in the thermometer, or the thermostat, not the thermometer. We'll soon find out, because it is a relatively warmer day than it was 3 weeks ago, but it's still a bit overcast and grey. So what am I expecting to see underneath? Because we don't have a ramp, we don't have access to a ramp or a pit where we can really get underneath cars, and that was one of the design flaws when I built my workshop 4 years ago. I wish we'd put a pit in so we could see underneath the vehicles, but you live and learn, and we're having to work the way that we can work, which is at the moment with ramps, with stands and a couple of jacks. So I'm looking forward to getting underneath the car and having a look underneath it, just to see if we've got any new issues that we haven't been able to see on Dad's driveway. That's the first thing I'm looking forward to. Second thing is having a look at that sill from underneath. Check out Dad's handiwork. And the third thing, well, is hopefully a new year's worth of MOT for the Rover 75. Dad isn't with me today. He hasn't come with me for the road trip, which is a shame, because it would have been good to have got some of Dad's stories on the way. I'm shaking my head there because that bloke was in the filter box on my side of the road, coming this way, overtaking. Dangerous. So I know these back roads like the back of my hand. I've, driven these roads for 20 years, but I'm not going to thrash it there. Some of the cars I do, I give them a bit of a, what's the word? Is it Italian tune-up on the way to the MOT test centre? But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it warm up nicely. Of course, it is a waft machine. It is a wafty vehicle. It's not one that I want to be thrashing to the MOT test centre. 50 degrees the engine temperature now. If you are looking forward or looking for the Rustival video, by the way, it is not yet on the channel. There is a very good reason for that. I filmed nearly 5 hours of content. And it's taken me a long time to edit it because I didn't want to just dump 5 hours of me and Dad talking nonsense onto YouTube. I'm sure some people would enjoy that, but I think some people would think it's a bit tedious. So I'm slowly working my way through the Rustival footage, and it will come. It'll probably be here by the time Festival of the Unexceptional is here. Also, new podcast. If you haven't seen the new podcast, where have you been? If you have seen the new podcast, what do you reckon? There's 2 episodes on the channel now. It's a weekly thing we're trying to do, where we have a chat about events, where Dad and I have a chat about stuff that we've been doing to the cars in the workshop, and then we answer Q&A. The Q&A thing has actually been quite interesting because I've learned a lot about my dad that actually in the past 35 years I haven't asked him. So keep your questions coming for Pistons, the podcast. So about 5 minutes into our trip to the MOT test centre, and so far so good. No major knocks, no major bangs, no warning lights, and the temperature is good. It's still not reached temperature. The temperature gauge is reading 45 degrees as opposed to 90 degrees, as in on the dial, not temperature. 60 degrees at the moment the car is reading. I better test the window wipers as well just before we get there. I would hate to fail on something silly such as window wipers. If you've watched the Mablethorpe video, you will know that we went up into the hills and we went past my MOT test centre. Well, we're going to the same place today. We're going up into the Lincolnshire Wolds, or towards the Lincolnshire Wolds, and to King's Garage at Stickney. My MOT tester is called Neil King, and his MOT tests are £40. Now, considering I have over 20 cars to MOT a year, you do the maths on how much I spend on MOTs every year. It is a smooth ride, this car. It genuinely is. And I blooming love it. I really do. I really love my Rover 75. And I'm so grateful for all the hard work that Dad put in, and for all the viewers, because you've paid for the repairs and for Dad to have a trolley jack. So humbled, grateful and thankful for you guys for watching the channel, and for your comments as well, because they've really helped Dad diagnose bits and pieces wrong. It will be interesting to see the emissions test that Neil does, just to see just how well it fares up after all these years. If you haven't watched anything else on the channel, by the way, aside from the Rover 75 videos, then I would urge you to have a look. There's so much on there. We've got smart car content, we've got Fiat Doblo content, some Armstrong Siddeley stuff, and if you're into your Malaysian metal, which as you probably know by now I am, with me Protons, then there's lots of videos on the channel as well. It's not just the Rover 75. However, if you're here for just the Rover 75, hello, and thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying the content. There is lots of content coming, including a video very shortly where I will talk about the cost to repair the Rover, how much it costs to fix it, and how much it would have cost, I think, if it was done professionally in a garage. The sad reality is, if this repair, or if all the repairs that Dad and I had to do by a garage, or were by a garage, then it would probably have written the car off. It would have been an uneconomical repair. So stay tuned for that video as well. Right, well here we are. We're about to pull into the MOT test centre, and normally what I do with Neil is just pull the cars into his garage and onto the ramp. I will make sure that he's got the ability to do so. The last thing I want to do is just go crashing into the workshop and there'd be a car on the ramp. There we go. We're ready, straight in. Oh, I'm going to have to straighten up. I'm going to have to go back and straighten up. I didn't manage to do it this time. Didn't manage to do it. Neil's guiding me in. And as you can see, I've now arrived at the MOT test centre, and actually the car's looking very beautiful there. I've driven straight onto the ramp and you can see the car whilst you're doing it. Thankfully, Neil lets me stay with the car and have a little look around. But if you wanted to have a look at your car, it's on the CCTV there. So first thing that Neil is going to do is do the emissions test. That is to make sure the car doesn't fail at the first hurdle, basically. It checks the emissions from the car. I'm not an expert how it works, but you either get a pass or a fail. And he's got a probe there that he puts inside the exhaust to measure the gases. And as you can see from the machine, a very good readout. According to Neil, he says it's absolutely spot on. Experts that understand those things will be able to tell me exactly what the reading is, but CO2 volume 0.01. Hooray! Next thing to do then is to send the car up and have a look underneath it, make sure the suspension and the tracking and all the ball joints and everything is okay. As you can see, it's slowly going up, slowly rising up in the air. And like I said in the little video on the way there, I was really excited to be able to have a good look at that near side sill and be able to get underneath the car just to see what is going on, because we don't have a ramp. So the car is going up, Neil will jack the front up and then he'll jack the back up just to take the weight off that suspension and have a look at everything. And while he's doing that, let's check out this near side sill. So this is the sill that has not yet been repaired. And you can see now we're starting to see a few little blisters and bubbles on there, which will shortly be a hole. But according to Neil, nothing to worry about yet, as are surface issues. And there is the inside, not too rotten on the inside, but that's something that Dad and I are going to address. A little bit of corrosion under here on the fuel tank straps. But apart from that, underneath the car, very clean. And I was very surprised to see under the car this heat shield. Look how shiny that heat shield is. It's like you're in a Jamiroquai music video. A little bit of corrosion on the exhaust. I'm going to suggest it's the original exhaust to the car, and you'll see the back box in just a moment. A little bit of corrosion to that arm, but nothing detrimental to the car. It's something I'm going to do, get underneath there, clean it all off, and then either Lano guard it or something similar ready for the summer. There's the original back box, and as you can see, there's a little bit of surface corrosion on there, but nothing that I'm worried about. Suspension all looks good this side, and then let's take a look underneath the car just once more. I'm actually laid on the floor, I think, for this shot in Neil's workshop. No, I'm laid on the floor now in the middle of Neil's workshop. I just could not believe how shiny it is under there, really, considering it's been hammered through Lincolnshire's back roads recently. Right, it's coming down then. Neil has checked everything out underneath it. Let's have a look at this sill that Dad's repaired. Oh, it's looking good, isn't it? You can see a difference in colour now you put them side by side, but nothing too much to worry about. There's the spring protectors still in place, and there is a close-up of the repaired sill that Dad has done. A little bit of overspray on that bottom of that door, actually need to address. But the car's looking good, isn't it? In its natural habitat, in a workshop, up on the ramps. And again, thanks to Neil for letting me have a good look round during the process. Next thing then is testing the brakes. He's on like this little rolling road system where it tests the brakes, tests their capacity, tests how good they are. Great results again, including on the handbrake, so no issues there. He's doing the back at the moment, as you can see, using this remote control system. We'll reverse it up, check that, and he's checking the lights as well. He's going to check the level of the lights. I sadly didn't get to film that, but you can see the machine to the left side there. Oh, there's a Hyundai, look, in the garage at the same time. Looks like someone's had their lawnmower in for repair. Great stuff though. On the back now, let's go to the front, testing the front brakes. And yeah, as Neil said, they are performing really well, and that's an absolute testament, I suppose, to Dad's mechanicking ability there and what he's done with the brakes. That's it then. MOT is done. Now time to hear if it's a pass or not. Well, there you have it. A clean sheet for the Rover 75, and actually 2023 56,000 miles, and now in 2024 58,000 miles, so a couple of thousand miles in the last year, and actually most of those has been me and Dad taking it out and about for road tests, to the Rustival, and now to the Pride of Longbridge. No advisories, hooray! And actually the MOT tester, Neil, has said just how lovely it is. He really has said just how brilliant the car is. Right, now to take it home. I am genuinely chuffed to bits with that. Clearly another year's worth of great motoring coming up for us and the Rover 75. Oh, there's a big dip here. I overshot that a little bit. Let's go. Let's go. So now the car's been sat idling at Neil's place for the MOT. It has reached temperature, which is good news. Now on the drive back, is the temperature going to drop? Are we going to see it overcool on the way home? We will soon find out. But yeah, another year's worth of motoring for the Rover 75. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with that, and you know what? Dad will be as well. So in that video we got to have a good look underneath it, and we got to see just how clean and tidy it is underneath. I am gobsmacked. That heat shield, just how shiny it is. There's a bit of corrosion on some of the arms at the back, but apart from that, that near side sill isn't too tender. It will be something that we address in the future. But now I can enjoy my Rover 75. I've had that feeling of the MOT test sort of looming over me the past couple of days. Because the last thing I wanted was to have to take it back to Dad and say, Dad, I got some bad news, mate. You need to fix it again. Never gonna give, never gonna give. Rylan on Radio 2. No, this isn't suitable. The perfect accompaniment for your Rover 75. Ah, classic FM with some static. That's better. None of that Rylan bloke. Well, we're nearly home, and the Rover 75 has performed majestically, which is more than can be said for my Rick Astley singing. It's really been a pleasure to take for an MOT, and I'm just about to pull in at home. We'll have a roundup in just a moment's time in the outro. But what a great car. You're not going anywhere fast, but you're getting there in style. Good. And the head gasket didn't fail on the way there or back. Well, there you have it then, another year of trouble-free motoring. And actually, I didn't expect there to be any issues. No advisories and a pass for this Cowley girl. Considering the car's covered less than 1,000 miles in the past year, I didn't really expect there to be too much of an issue, especially as Dad and I have spent the past couple of months giving it a really good going over. What's next for the car then? Well, the 13th of April 2024, we're going to be taking the car back to Longbridge. I say back to Longbridge, it's never actually been there. Again, it's from Cowley, but we're going to be taking the car to Longbridge. I'm going to get the wheels refurbished, give the interior a really good clean, and then enjoy it. I think it's going to be one of those things that makes an appearance at quite a few shows this spring and this summer. There's plenty more content coming up on the channel with the Rover 75, and if you haven't seen the other bits and pieces on the channel and would like to, there's a playlist in the description below. If you've enjoyed today's video, thumbs up please. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so, that really helps the channel. And if you could, let me know in the comments below, what do you reckon? Was it always going to be a pass, or did you think there was going to be some sort of issue? Till next time, take care, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. If you've enjoyed this video, I've selected a few more specially for you on this page. Click either side to select them now. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button to always stay up to date with the channel.